this coming weather and everything that is happening out there. We certainly don't want you guys. We don't want any bad stuff to happen to you guys. So, we'll get out there. But hey, listen, we're not here to talk about a hurricane. We are here to talk about a different kind of storm that is about to hit Tampa Bay. The 2019 Bruce Arians, Todd Bowles led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Byron Leftwich, I guess, is in there as well. Ren, tonight was the final night of the preseason. You and I are here to kind of give our immediate takes. This is sort of, this is how we roll. This is what we do. Phone lines will be open. Actually, Ren, well, let's just go ahead and open the phone lines for anybody who might be out there, want to call in. You guys are certainly welcome to do that. That number is 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827 for anyone who would like to join us. You guys do that. Just interrupt us. We'll talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. Don't worry about fitting into whatever Ren and I are saying. We'll figure that out on the other side. And give us a call. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's from this game or the preseason training camp as a whole, what you're looking forward to coming up here with the Buccaneers. But Ren,
roster cuts.
Yeah, roster cuts are coming and all of that sort of stuff. I would like to say hello to those of you who are joining us live on YouTube, youtube.com. Say hello to everybody there in the chat room. I know Ren is over there kind of keeping tabs on what's happening there tonight as well. Shout out to our friend Craig in Vegas. But Ren, man, I'll kind of toss it over to you first. Closing out the preseason, it was a very, very exciting game. No, it was not.
I feel bad for you, man. This was like the first game you got to watch like from start to finish.
It was, yeah.
And a preseason game number 4.
Yeah, this preseason has not been nice here at my household for what we've got going on. But like I said, man, I'll toss it to you first. Thoughts on tonight's game, or I don't know how much of tonight's game we actually really want to talk about as much as just in light of everything else going on. But floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I thought Ryan Griffin played longer than I thought he was going to. I thought this was going to be a game where it was going to not. You didn't want to watch the offense at all.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ryan Griffin was coming for one series, and it was going to be, that it was going to be Testaverde, and no matter who did what,
Mm-hmm.
Along the offensive line, it doesn't matter because it's second and third stringers. And then if, Bobo or Scotty Miller or Justin Watson were in there, but Testaverde's throwing to him.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's good, like who are they really going up against? And it's bad, it's like, well, Testaverde's throwing to him. So,
Right.
I was really sort of focusing on the defense, but it was nice to see, Ryan in there for I think he played like the first quarter and a half.
Yeah, it was definitely the first quarter. I don't know how much into the second quarter he got in. I at some point they switched it. I just went, oh, well, he's in. Testaverde's in for the rest of the game now.
Yeah, that was it. But it was the usual stars, and going in, there was a couple people that I was looking at as far as like who can be cut, and are they going to make a spot for him?
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of like the same players, Dare Ugambwable,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jack Sitchy was someone I've been concentrating on. He had a real good game. Tanner Hudson. Then on defense, I wanted to see, Beckner Jr. He played. Patrick O'Connor is making himself he's doing some things.
Yeah,
Doing some
he
things.
stood out to me tonight for sure.
Yeah, so so I guess the big storyline was sort of this Bobo Watson Miller to get to stay. Who you got?
Mm-hmm.
Going into this, and I think, like I said, I think that's why Ryan Griffin played a little longer than he did. But what do you think? Do you think they're just going to keep all 3, or you think they're going to keep 2? And if they keep 2, who's out?
Okay, run down the whole thing. We got Evans, we got Godwin, we got Perryman.
Right.
And then from there on it's Watson, Bobo, and Scotty Miller. Am I missing somebody?
Nope. I used to talk about how much I liked Johnson,
Uh-huh.
Anthony Johnson at Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think he's destined for the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
DeMarcus Lodge was somebody I talked about, but he couldn't stay healthy to get on the field.
Right.
He played tonight, but he was invisible, so I think he's destined for the practice squad. Hall came in late, was a
Mm-hmm.
sort of like a Perryman clone.
Right.
Big, fast guy, successful hands, gets hurt a lot. Almost a copycat carbon of Perryman there. But I didn't see him at. I'm sure he was out there, but I didn't. I don't think they threw the ball to him.
Right.
So he's probably practice squad. So really, it comes down to I guess Schnell had one play.
Right.
One play, and everyone's like, "Yeah, keep that guy." And it's like, "All right." uh,
No.
yeah, no, no,
No.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, so it's those three guys. It's
Yeah.
kick one out or keep six.
Yeah. This is without having looked at the rest of the team to, kind of when you get down to those final roster spots, you go, okay, I need to pull somebody from here to add somebody here. But, I could see us keeping six. And if that's the case, all three of those guys are going to be it.
Yeah, I'm right
If
there with
we
you.
only keep five, you play the what if game, because like I said, I haven't done the rest of the positions yet.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
53-man show will be coming later this week. That'll certainly be something.
It'll probably be tomorrow since cuts come Saturday,
Oh, do they come on Saturday?
and they're gonna cut a bunch tomorrow.
Oh, well then yes, it will come tomorrow. I don't know if we run out of stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll do that tonight. But yeah, without having looked at everything else, I would venture to say that we'll keep all three.
Yeah,
But if it's
I think I'm
five,
with you.
who's the odd man out? Um, Honestly, if you forget about draft status and all of that kind of stuff, and I think you just look at what they've put on the field,
But you
uh,
can't forget about that.
but you can't. But if you do, I would go with Watson and Bobo.
Right.
And that's mostly just because, I mean, honestly, Scotty Miller's been hurt. Like we haven't seen enough out of him, and what we have seen, it's been him coming off of injury, right? So I think that's where I sit with it. But because you can't forget about it, I don't think they're cutting Scotty Miller either. And so that's where I'm kind of going back to six.
Yeah, I think it's going to be six. I thought Scotty Miller was going to make the team kind of no matter what. I know
Hmm.
fans wanted to see more from him. I wanted to see more from him. Some of the things I've seen from him, kind of like but they were running him a lot of like crosses and
Hmm.
little outs, and that's not really where he shines.
Hmm.
And then last week we talked about, and I think everybody else talked about it, how frustrating it was to watch him not try to return that one punt that he had all that cushion.
Right.
It was like,
Right.
it's like you were supposed to run. I was supposed to be able to see you return a punt, and you didn't do it.
Hmm.
And tonight I didn't. That interception, I didn't really like what I saw from him.
Hmm.
I felt like he didn't want the ball, and he sort of quit running, and then that's why the pass was so bad. It was off the mark because by the time Ryan was, throwing it, Scotty Miller was slowing down because like I'm about to run into like triple coverage here. I'm going to get killed.
Right.
I don't want the ball. And but Griffin released it and he had to sort of make an effort for it, and he tipped it up and he caught it. So
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't really like that, but again, I think we're going to keep six. But it was, since he was going to make the team and it was kind of down to Watson or Bobo, it was how much do you care about your return game? Because
Right.
what Justin Watson can play all three positions. They tried it with Bobo, couldn't do it. They put him at one wide receiver position. He's excelling at that.
Hmm.
I like him as our kick returner. I like him as our punt returner. Over Rojo or pretty much anybody else. I would like to see Scotty Miller. I would have liked to see Scotty Miller make some punts, but I like Bobo back there. I've said it. He makes a decision. Yeah, he
Hmm.
puts his foot in the ground and he goes. And he's got the speed to outrun people, and he's been holding up well enough where he's not going to run people over, but he can run by people, and if he gets hit, he's not going to go down right away. Like, you just don't have to touch him.
Hmm.
Kind of like Adam Humphries. All you did was touch Adam Humphries, and he went down.
Right.
Uh, but so, but Justin Watson, besides playing all three positions, he's also. I've noticed him in a Bruce Arians offense. You have to block as a wide receiver, especially downfield,
Hmm.
and I'd always see Justin Watson blocking. So, if push comes to shove, I would have gone with Watson,
Being
just because
cut.
of his no, of making the
Oh,
team,
okay. Okay.
of his versatility. But I think since no one really stepped up in the return game, and
Hmm.
Bobo did have a good camp, especially once they moved him to that one spot.
Hmm.
He caught most of just about everything that came his way, and he looked good doing it and didn't look lost out there. Yeah, I'm with you. I think they're keeping six, and I don't even really think it's up for debate.
Right. Right. Um. So yeah. So that's where we got there. This really, I tweeted this out during the game. Just like, hey, here's a couple of quick like honest thoughts about where I am with this game. And a lot of it was I found myself in this game having a hard time caring. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you mentioned earlier, like, man, what a sucky game to be like the only one that I've gotten to watch, like full, from
Right.
kickoff all the way to the final whistle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually I've either been late and I missed the first quarter, or various things happened. Internets didn't work, planes went awry, and I didn't. And so I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm having to watch it on Game Pass because I'm out of market. I'm assuming you guys probably had Rondé and Chris
Yep.
Meyer on the call. I didn't
Yep.
get that choice. I had Michael Irving and Emmett Smith and whoever else, and it was every shot, every direction, all the cut choices for the guy in the truck was all towards the Cowboys, and that's fine. It's their feed. Like, I don't hate on them for that. I hate on
Right.
the NFL for not allowing me to pick. Like, I paid money and stuff and I didn't get to pick which feed I wanted. But like, there was even this spot of where, most of these guys playing, they're all these depth guys, these fourth stringers, all
Hmm.
these guys. I don't know their numbers. And
Yeah.
they don't focus on their back long enough for me to get like their name and go, "Oh wait,
Yeah.
who was that?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um and so like I'm watching
And
these
then
guys.
30% of the time, their hair's in the way.
Exactly. And you know what it felt like, Rent? I felt like I was watching an Apollos game. Like, not only in quality of football, but also in like, okay, wait, who is that? Why, I feel like I should care about that. Is that a guy who's actually on the bubble, or is he just a camp guy? You know?
Right. Right.
And oh, by the way, when we talk about like, we already know, we could probably predict with pretty good accuracy 43, 45 of the players that are going to make this team.
Oh, I think I can do 50 easily.
Well, sure. And I just based that on where what's his face said the other day, like, oh, I've pretty much got everybody except for the last 10, right?
Right.
So we're watching this game for a handful of spots. Oh, and by the way, 7 of those last ones aren't even going to play. They're going to go inactive every single game.
Yep.
So I'm just like, what? I just had a hard time, engaging, I think. And then you get to like the third quarter, and yes, I'm going to go on this rant. You get to the third quarter, and the broadcast doesn't, like, they play the game in like a teeny tiny window in the corner while they're talking with
Hmm.
Jason Witten the entire time about like his life and family and playing philosophy, and like there. So you might be able to help explain to me what happened, because I don't actually know what happened. Third quarter, maybe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter. I think it was towards the end of the third quarter. The Buccaneers go in and they're showing the game on the side thing, and uh, they scored a touchdown.
Hmm.
It was like a pass to the left sideline. Guy grabs it and he kind of shuffles out of something, squirms around, and just dances in right inside the pylon to get
Right.
to the. And then next thing I know, the Buccaneers are backed up like 10, 15 yards. And they
Right.
even played the replay a little bit. They never showed a flag on TV. They never told us what it was. The commentators didn't even mention anything happening on the field, and I had no clue what had happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
so uh
Yeah. About halfway through the third, it got a little. It got boring even for me because everyone that I saw, the numbers I could make
mhm,
out and the names I did know was out there. I'm like, they're not making the team. They're not
yeah.
making the team. They're not making the team. Like that last, especially the fourth quarter. It was every once in a while you see somebody that might have a chance, like Mazzy Wilkins. Like I think he
Mhm.
played pretty much the whole second half. They were giving him a shot to like, here's your shot, kid. Like you're on the bubble. Go do something. But to answer your question, what happened was Eaton, the wide receiver, uh, just he threw a pick, but it
Mhm.
was so bad of a pick, like he just blasted the guy.
Oh,
So
okay.
he was on the outside and he came in to pick the receiver who was going out in the flat,
Okay.
which was, by the way, Johnson, my guy from Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah.
And Eaton, who's no one's even talked about, he's a tall, lanky gazelle. I don't remember where he went to,
Mhm.
but instead of coming in and sort of running the route and bumping the guy,
Yeah.
he just ear holed him,
Oh,
like
okay.
just totally ear holed him. But then good for him, he peeled off and then picked up the safety.
Uh-huh.
He made 2 blocks and we scored a touchdown. It's just that you can't ear hole a guy.
Right. Right.
You just
Okay.
can't crack back and ear hole a guy. You just
Yeah.
can't do it. So that was why we that touchdown was called back.
Yeah. I mean, that it would have been sure nice of them to show us that. you know,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
at least show that a flag had been thrown and let us like watch the hand motions of the referee. Um, so okay, but hey, and listen, we wound up scoring again, you know, and I'm
Mhm.
saying, well, we had to score that touchdown twice. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, yeah. So you're right. It's just it's a lot of hmm.
Yeah,
I
like
will.
Bruce Anderson got the ball.
Oh
It
my
was good to
gosh.
see it was good to see him play.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Remember that
Does
guy?
the one half of what he did in this fourth preseason game override the entire rest of the preseason and training camp?
Of course not.
Of course not. Right. He
Of course
just
not.
doesn't. I mean, yeah, he looked okay tonight, I guess, but you know, he'll be a practice squad guy at best.
Yes, yes, at
Yeah.
best, for sure, for sure.
I'll tell you one guy who did stick out to me from for potentially a practice squad spot.
Sure.
Just because I liked actually watching him play. He was one of the offensive linemen. I'm not going to say his name right. I think he was number 75. Polar or Polar. He was a big old hunging dude, lots of hair.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
was a guard. I think he was playing guard.
Yep.
Um,
I'm
but I
sure
liked
some
him.
people I'm sure some people thought that Kappa was in there trying to get some more
I
experience.
well, that's who I thought it was at first, actually.
Uh,
I was like, "Wow, what's Kappa doing in there?" Oh,
thank
no,
you.
that's yeah.
Thank you.
No, that's this player, and like I don't, my eye kept getting drawn to him on the offensive line, and I liked watching him play. He played physical, he played tough, he played rough. I'm not saying that he's starting caliber material. I don't even know if he's a good depth piece for an offensive line in the NFL right now. But to bring him in for a practice squad and kind of keep him around, let him develop a little bit. Um, I wouldn't
Yeah,
mind that.
I think this practice squad's gonna be those 3 receivers if they clear.
Hmm.
Those 3 receivers I talked about, Anderson, Bruce Anderson, and the rest are just gonna be offensive linemen.
You don't think any defensive linemen or backs or anything like that,
I said
like D backs?
Anderson.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm sorry, D backs or anything.
I mean, there probably is, like, Mazzy Wilkins might be one, but the
Hmm.
bulk of I think at least 5 of these people
Hmm.
are going to be, like, offensive linemen that they're gonna try to groom throughout the season,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
The days of Leonard Wester and Mike Liedtke are gone.
Right.
They're gone.
Right. Right. Hey, we have a question for us in the chat room. Before I get to that, anybody who wants to call in, guys, the phone line is open if you want to call and talk to us about anything about tonight's game, anything happening in the world of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll talk to you about that. That number is 864-729-2827. That's 864-729-2827. The number is right down there along the scroll bar. Question from the chat room. Just to go ahead and say this, just for the record, Matt Gay, starter, question mark. What do you all think?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yes. Yes.
yes. But here's an interesting thing,
Yes.
and, this was something I saw in practice, and I don't know if it sort of happened when you were there, uh, but, and Bruce Arians brought it up,
Mhm.
the kick that he missed in a preseason game, I think it was against the Dolphins,
Mhm.
Bruce Arians says he has a little bugaboo somewhere between, like, 35 and 41 yards from the right hash.
Okay.
The more I thought of it, I'm like, you know what, he's right. That is kind of where he always misses in practice.
Uh-huh.
So, do you think the Bucks are going to, when they're in sort of that field goal range, you think
Mhm.
they're going to like make a concerted effort to keep it on the left hash?
Well, we saw a game, I don't think it was this last year, maybe it was 2 years ago, where they took them down and literally the entire play was they hiked the ball to Jameis, he ran to the other hash and dropped to a knee.
Yeah, well, that
Just
happens all the time at the end of
yeah,
the half or end of the game. I
right.
mean, all teams do that. Like,
Right.
they
I
have
don't know, I don't
hashes
see
they
that
want to,
very often,
but
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 yeah.
but oh, well, it happens. It's been happening for years.
Yeah.
But like, if it's like third quarter, you're up by 5
Mhm.
and it's 3rd and 4 and you're going to run the ball, are you going to run it left on purpose? Because if you don't get it, the
Mhm.
ball will be on the left hash.
Um
If it's in between 35 and 41
right,
yards.
right. I I don't know if that will actually be a thing that they I mean, at some point you've just got to go with what presents itself in front of you. You
Or
know
you
what
got
I
to put
mean?
your guys in the best position to win. It's like
And
the
you got to
same
put your
thing.
best you're right, right. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, here's the other question then is will other teams pick up on something cuz that seems like a really minute thing to figure out. Like
Yeah.
this
Except he
kicker
said it.
has, except he now said it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
except he said it at the press
Right.
conference for all
It's
they hear.
between this yard and this yard on the right hash,
Yeah.
you know.
He can't make
Let's
it save his life.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I mean, because you have a defense who's in there. Hey, they're going to be in this spot right here. Everybody flood the left side, so we force them over to the right side. Like, I mean, that's kind of. I don't know that they'll intentionally do it, but maybe it will be a factor in the decision. It might not make the entire decision for them, but I could see it being a factor.
But the plus side of that, at least they'll be running behind, Jensen Alley and Donovan's side.
That's fair. That is fair.
Yeah,
Which, regardless of what some people think, is definitely the stronger side of our offensive line
it
this
is.
year. All right, I got a question for you.
Yo.
All right, and this is not a stupid Facebook question. I'm going to fully own this one. This is
Okay. This is
fully
actually your
this
question.
is actually from me. Okay,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I've been kind of thinking about those throughout the course of this week.
All right.
Talking about the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I've seen several people, and I don't know enough history of this coaching staff to be able to verify this independently, but let's assume they're right. But several people saying that a bunch of years ago, when Bruce Arians was in Indianapolis, he had the
Uh-huh.
same offensive line coach there that he has now here in Tampa, and apparently the offensive line there in Indianapolis that year was also atrocious
Right.
and got Andrew Luck hurt.
Right.
Given what we saw out of last preseason game, and let's be honest, what we saw from the offensive line, the second team offensive line in this game today, which
Mm-hmm.
didn't look stellar as well, um, do we need to be concerned about this offensive line coach, a la another George Warhop, or is this just a talent issue, or is this just a preseason issue?
This is incomplete reporting once again by Lee DeKemper is
Okay.
what it is.
To be
He's the
fair,
one
I've
that.
heard nothing that Lee DeKemper has said on this issue.
Oh, he's
To
the one
be
who brought
fair.
it up.
Oh,
He
is he?
dug it up. He
Oh,
dug
did
it
he?
up, and
Oh,
it's
okay, okay.
and it's pretty good investigative reporting, except for this guy. I don't even know his name. I want to say his name. I want to say his name's Ledbetter, but it's not. I think it starts with an L.
Okay.
But a lot of people are saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, that one of the reasons Andrew Luck is retiring, of course, he's been beat up forever.
Mhm.
Well, he got beat up forever because Indianapolis didn't put a lot of money and draft picks into their offensive line,
Okay.
so he got beat up all this time. Now it is true, yes, a guy that is on our offensive line coaching staff was a coach for was the offensive line coach for the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay.
Who's the offensive line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
The offensive line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Who sat there on his interview at the podium right when he was hired and said, "When the offensive line is bad, come after me."
Oh, that was Goodwin, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the guy we're talking about isn't Goodwin.
Right.
So
Joe Gilbert
there you go. Told you.
is
L.
yeah. Line. L for line. Offensive
Line.
line coach.
Gil,
Uh
L, Elbert. Yeah.
yeah,
But
Joe Gilbert.
I haven't done it, like you said, it could have been a talent issue at Indianapolis. Like
Mhm.
it was something that he does. He went and found a fact that fit something to set off an alarm, but instead of like looking at who the talent was or who actually is the head guy in charge of our offensive line, how
Mhm.
many offensive line coaches do we have? You know, he's just one of somebody on the staff. And was he one of somebody on the Indianapolis staff, or was he the guy? Because he's not the guy here.
Mhm.
So it's once again sort of half truths, being lazy, and just trying to start like start a little smoke fire. And
Mhm.
then you have when the offensive line, or if I should say the offensive line, has a bad game or has a bad year, doesn't perform up to what we want them to do. He can sit there and bang on the drum about how I told you way back when about this.
Mhm.
So that's my Joe
Yeah.
Gilbert, uh what I think about Joe Gilbert.
Right. So you think, just to sum that up, you think that
Crock of shit.
you think it's a full on crock of shit, or we just don't have enough information to actually make that judgment?
Even if it was totally all Joe Gilbert's fault in Indianapolis, which we
Okay.
don't have. And we
Okay.
haven't even checked the talent there and how many draft picks and who the free agencies
Sure.
were, which the other person didn't either.
Okay.
But Joe Gilbert's not in charge of the offensive line here.
Right.
He's
It's
not
Goodwin.
George Warhop.
Right.
He's just one of I don't know how many,
Mhm.
but he's one of the guys in there.
Right.
Now, will he be teaching what Godwin tells him to teach?
Mhm.
Yes. Or Goodwin. Goodwin, I'm sorry.
Goodwin. Yeah,
Goodwin.
yeah, Goodwin.
Yeah, Goodwin would tell him the truth.
Right.
Yes, he is. He's a long time experienced NFL coach, but you're going to take 1 year
Mhm.
at one spot where the offensive line didn't produce, and you're going to equate it to 4, 3, 2 years later,
Mhm.
and go, "Hey, everybody, this offensive line is going to stink because this guy
Right.
had a crappy year 4 years ago."
Mhm. Is it is it not also fair to say so that this offensive line has been with this new coaching staff? And let's just say
Yeah.
it's been Goodwin and his people, right? This offensive line has been with this new coaching staff now for 4 preseason games.
Yep.
Not and we're not talking the 9 guys that they have on the roster. We're talking the 15 or 20 guys that they have in camp,
Right.
right? So he's not been able to drill down and just focus on the main guys all the time, right?
Hmm.
Is it fair to even come close to judging our offensive line right now based on what we've seen so far?
No, and here's the thing, like, you know, there was no the whole story all training camp wasn't, "Oh, this offensive line stinks."
Mhm.
It's, "Okay, Donovan's gotta, step up his game, become more consistent."
Mhm.
I thought he did that at training camp. Allie needs to be Allie. It'd be nice if he took the step or at least was recognized as a Pro Bowler.
Sure.
Still on track. Jensen needs to play up to his contract status. He needs to play at a top 5 center, at least a top 10.
Mhm.
Has to have a better year than he did last year.
Sure.
I'm not really sure if he's up or down on that, honestly. Seems about the same. Then you got Kappa. Everyone talked about how great Kappa's doing, how far he's come. He had he had the starting spot nailed down for when he walked into camp and hasn't relinquished it. And
Right.
he's had Earl of Watford on his butt the whole entire time.
Mhm.
And then we had Dot, which was always Jesus. Dot's old. Oh,
Right.
look at his PFF grade. Well, that's pretty good, but he's
Yeah.
old.
Right. Right.
So the whole thing was if one of these guys gets hurt, we're in trouble, which I believe.
Mhm.
Okay, but we played the Pittsburgh game. No one had any issues.
Mhm.
We played the Miami game. No one had any issues.
Right.
We played the Cleveland game, and all of a sudden, the whole entire right side of the offensive line sucks, and Donovan Smith. Like,
Right.
it was one half of one game.
Mhm.
And if you watch it, the offensive line got better in the second quarter. So they made some adjustments. And then again, the thing about Cleveland's defense being one of the best defensive lines in the league and this and that and the other thing,
Mhm.
it's growing pains. Like,
Right.
do I think we need offensive line depth on this team? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would I like to go out and get a 24, 25 something, hope maybe still on his rookie contract or his last year, and we could sign to a big deal at right tackle? Yeah, I would.
Sure.
Are they out there? No.
Right.
Our backups? We'll find out because we're going to find out real quick. Our
Mhm.
backups are bad. So, you know, it was 2 quarters of football, and it's all of a sudden like we got to run for the hills. It's just classic overreaction. Yeah, it was disappointing to see, but it did get better as the game went on.
Right. Right. And we'll certainly well, I mean, we'll certainly see. We what do we got? 10 days and not 9 days actually I think now at this point. And we'll see what this offensive line can do when they are actually in um and I think we should just sort of brace ourselves, Ren, that if the offensive line has a bad game or a bad quarter or a bad play, just brace ourselves for the overreactions
Yeah,
throughout. It's just going to happen, and
yeah. Kappa's going to become the new Donovan Smith.
yeah. And here's the thing: Kappa's going to get beat from time to time over the course of this year.
Yeah, he is.
He's not
And
going to be a wall.
if you notice what Cleveland did when they beat Kappa,
Uh huh.
why is Kappa play guard? Because he's better in a phone booth. He's a phone booth type of guy.
Okay.
If you saw where he just got abused by a spin move, I think it was, or might have been a hump move. The
Mm-hmm.
guy got around him, but he had like 2 yards on each side of him.
Mm,
Like Cleveland schemed that
right.
to get Kappa in space, and good for them,
Right.
and it worked. But you know what? I think we have the coaches that will scheme that back or
There you
fix
go.
that or not leave him sort of, he was about as left on an island as you could be for an interior lineman. He really
Mm-hmm.
was. And like I said, kudos for Cleveland for doing that.
Right, right. And, to be quite honest, I'd rather have stuff like that get exposed and get shown here in the preseason, um, so that they can fix it now. We can see it
Hmm.
now and get it fixed now, rather than waiting till we get, several weeks into the season, um, to do that. So, all right. Well, that is our offense, and where we go with there. I mean, Ryan Griffin looked fine. Despite having he threw 2 interceptions. I think Testaverde threw 1 on the course of the
Both
night.
of Griffin's were tipped.
Oh, were they?
One was that Scotty Miller play I told you about,
Right.
where it looked like to me that he slowed down
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
went, "Oh God, I got to put my hand out,"
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
bounced up. And the other one was a blitzing linebacker who had come free,
Uh-huh.
and he
That was
was
his
going to hit
first pass, right?
the back and
Yeah.
the flat, like it was,
Uh-huh.
that was the play. It's like, okay, this guy's come free as the quarterback. I got to get it to this back out here who's uncovered,
Mhm.
and he tipped the ball.
Yeah.
He didn't get by the blitzing linebacker, and he tipped the ball, and it was picked off. So, one was absolutely not his fault, and
Mhm.
one was half his fault because
Sure.
he has to get the ball past that guy.
Right.
He does.
But
The blitzing linebacker.
outside of that, Griffin had yet another solid game. Mr.
Gold
August.
jacket, baby.
Yeah, hey, listen. The good news is he can put on the ball cap now and he can kick up his heels and he can rest for the next 11 months. So,
Start charting plays.
there he goes. There he goes. So, cuz Blaine Gabbert, all right, let's talk about him. Blaine Gabbert, he's not getting cut. His injury is not going to get him released from this team. Like he'll still be around, right?
Mm.
Okay. I'm asking that definitively. I mean, projectively, like it's going to be James.
Well,
It's going to be all 3 of them, right? That'd be what I would think.
yeah. Once again, that's for me. That's really going to come down, like you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, let's get a call then here.
It's Lee
Yeah,
DeKemper.
there we go. Hello, hello. You are on the line with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast. Who do we have here tonight?
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do we got?
Awesome. This is Eric in Atlanta.
Hey, Eric. How's it going, buddy?
Good. I missed the first half of the show. I wasn't sure if you guys talked about Tanner Hudson and whether or not you think he's going to make the team.
Yeah, well, not yet. But first of all, Eric, just real quick, I want to get back to Tanner Hudson, but is this your first time calling into the show?
It is. I've actually been listening to you guys for forever. I think, Brent, the first episode I listened to of yours was like the second episode ever where you talked about Star Wars.
No,
Oh,
that would have been
nice.
the first episode. It was the Phantom
Okay, yeah. Well,
Draft
the
Pick,
first
episode
episode
1.
is the first episode I listened to.
Wow,
Yeah.
brother, you made it through the bad
Yeah.
days. Wow.
I did. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm doing the fantasy this year too. So.
Oh, you're in our fantasy league. Awesome.
Yeah.
Are
Awesome.
you in my league or Brent's league?
I'm in Brent's league.
Oh, I know who this
Okay.
is. Okay. I'm not. Yeah. Okay, I got you. All right, Eric, real quick. We have a tradition here. You know this if you've been listening all this time. How'd you become a Bucs fan, especially being in Atlanta?
My dad.
Okay.
It was my dad. Yeah, my dad was living down in Tampa in '76, and he just never stopped being a Bucs fan, and he passed it on to me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Our good friend Corey, by the way, Corey Draper from the Play Reaction. I think that's pretty much his story. He lives there in Atlanta as well.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get a beer with him soon.
Nice. He's a good guy. I got to meet him. I was up there a couple weeks ago and got to hang out with him. He took me to a gas station restaurant that was actually really delicious, but it was kind of weird. But anyway,
Awesome.
cool guy. Absolutely cool guy. All right, you wanted to talk about Tanner Hudson. Is he staying on this team? Trevor
Yeah,
Sikkema.
he's got to, right? I feel like at this point,
Yeah.
we keep 4 tight ends.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and Ren, you can speak to this a lot more than I can, but
Sure.
Tanner Hudson's pass catching ability has been absolutely flashy. Like it's been dazzling to watch. But his blocking
but he can't
ability,
block at all.
not at all. And Trevor Sikkema put out like a little clip, and the guy looked like he was trying to play patty cake with the defensive player. and he just got
Yeah.
completely blown up. And I was watching the rest of the game. Like Tanner really can't block. Like, and that's a big part of being a tight end. But we also would say Cameron Brate is not always that good at blocking either. So
And he's got a huge contract.
And he has a huge contract. So Ren, man, I'll throw that question. Are we going to go 4 tight ends and keep Tanner Hudson, or is he bound for the practice squad for another year?
That's the tough spot. First off, he's not going to make the practice squad. Not with the
Oh
tape.
yeah, absolutely.
No, somebody will pick him up. He's had a crazy preseason.
Yeah.
Like the Texans need desperate help. Like oh my God, the Cardinals need help.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Raiders need help. Like all these people need help. Some of them need help at tight end 1, let alone tight end 2 or 3. So as sort of my philosophy and making the 53-man roster, one of the things I like to say is you don't get rid of good players. Like, so the question is, has Tanner Hudson made himself? Is he making Bruce Arians and Jason Light keep him on the roster? And like Brent said, offensively, yeah, like that's slam dunk without a doubt. But blocking, it's you really have to see how much he's improved, and it's something I didn't really watch with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say it's probably 80-24 for the team. I think when I'm going to do my 53-man breakdown, I'm going to find a spot for Tanner Hudson.
Okay.
I'm not sure where I'm going to have to sort of drop somebody there. If it's going to have to be, maybe not a 5th outside linebacker, or maybe not a 7th interior defensive lineman, or
Mm-hmm.
a 5th inside linebacker, or I might have to keep sort of one of those DBs that plays both linebacker or nickel and safety. I might have to get a little creative and saying I'm keeping this guy, but he plays safety and he plays nickel.
Right.
So I haven't really done the breakdown to see what I can do. What I'm probably going to end up having to do is keep 3 running backs and cut Ellington, and I think that's fair. I think
that's
Dare
totally fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You can put Bruce Anderson on the practice squad, and if you don't think he's good enough, there's gonna be somebody out there that you liked, that's gonna get cut that you could store on the practice squad that's coming up, and run with 3 active running backs, and if one gets hurt, chances are not all 3 are gonna get hurt. You got to bring the guy up and have to play special teams, and and be that 3rd guy. So. That's where I'm looking right now. I want Hudson on the team because I think he's played well enough and he deserves it. He really, really got to improve that blocking, maybe even to stick around next year. But so if Hudson stays, for me, it's probably going to be Ellington's going to have to be the sacrificial lamb.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't even considered dropping a running back. I was just like, the way I was looking at it was, do I want to keep at this point, like looking at what they've done, especially throughout the preseason? Like, would I rather have Tanner Hudson or Bobo Wilson? And the answer is Tanner Hudson. Would I rather have Tanner Hudson or like Justin Watson? And the answer has been Tanner Hudson. So I was looking at like, you think?
Yeah. Well, Tanner Hudson's not going to play. He's not. Like, he might not even be active because there's 3 guys in front of him that are not going to be on the field all 3 at a time very rarely. So, it's Tanner Hudson's a luxury. It's a luxury because he's good. He's forcing them to keep them. They don't need to keep 4 tight ends. They can run with 3. They need a 5th wide receiver, like, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it. You missed the first half. That was kind of like the first thing. It was like, do we run with 5 and cut Miller, Watson, or Wilson? Or do we keep 6? And Brent and I both agree that we keep 6 because they all bring something different.
Mm-hmm.
Miller's speed, Watson can play all 3 positions, and he blocks really well downfield in the offense, and Bobo's return game. Like, they all can. Watson, they all excel at something else.
Yeah, Watson also plays a big part on special teams as well. And that would be the question, and I don't know the answer to this, Ren. I don't know if you do or not. Does Hudson have a big part in special teams? Have we seen that at all?
He's been playing the outside blocker on field goals.
Uh-huh.
attempts. He's the two guys that come off the edge, and he has to pick one.
Yeah.
He's been playing that guy.
Well, that seems like trouble.
Well, he's in there.
Yeah, right.
He's in there. So yeah, exactly. He's a personal protector for the punter because he's such a great blocker.
Sorry, Pinion, $4 million punter. So.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. I think Hudson's has forced them to keep him. But if push comes to shove, he's really a one-dimensional player, and that might not be enough because Jason Light has put together a roster. We don't have to worry about, oh my God, are we going to keep Riley Bulla or oh God, who was the guy that was on the Rams that came to us? He was on Hard Knocks, and we had him.
Oh, Mentor?
No. No, he doesn't. He's not with us anymore.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God, he was on the Rams Hard Knocks, got cut, then we got him, and I think he made the team. But these are 2 undrafted free agents, and we're going, oh God, which one are you going to keep on the 53-man roster? And now we're cutting draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
and I've said this before: if Tanner Hudson and Cam Brate flopped years they came into the league, Cam Brate would be in the exact same spot Tanner Hudson is. Mm-hmm. They're the same guy. It's just that Cam Brate has 4 years of NFL experience at blocking. He's still not very good.
Right.
He's not as bad as Tanner Hudson.
What do you think the chances are that they look to try and trade Brate before the season?
That's sort of
a huge contract.
The contract don't.
Well, I was going to say the thing that we don't know, Eric, is they might have already signed. Hey, whoever's calling me right now, call me back in just a few minutes when I hang up with Eric because I want to finish this conversation with him. They may have already tried to trade him, but as you just mentioned, he has this big contract, which other people may be going, yeah, we don't really want it. Now I understand other teams have more cap space than we do, and they can play around with that, but it's possible that they've already tried and just not found that partner for Cam Brate.
That's true.
Yeah, possible. And don't worry about Cam Brate's contract. We're under the cap. Everyone's
well,
fine.
I'm not super worried about the cap. I'm just saying for the money, Tanner Hudson can do. It feels like most of the things that Cameron Brate can do at this point.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this about Hudson though. Most of the stuff that we've seen Hudson do has been with Ryan Griffin under center, right? Not so much.
That is true, and it's been against lower competition as well.
Right, but I mean, we know the connection that Jameis and Cam Brate have. Do Jameis and Tanner Hudson have that same? I don't know that the two guys that's necessarily plug and play when you start accounting for the intangibles there. So while it may work in Madden, you just pop one out and put the other one in. I don't know that it works in real life. Maybe it does. It really might. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying I don't know. And I would be careful about just popping it out. But if we and Ren, would you agree with this? Our most tradable asset right now is probably Cameron Brate.
Well, tradable asset that's someone you could afford to lose.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Team advantageous for the team.
Yeah,
our most attractive offer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably the biggest luxury that we have that other teams might want. If you really want to get pushed to shove, if Justin Evans comes back healthy, he could be a guy.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a guy that if you want to get one of these stud right tackles, and somebody asks about him, Justin Evans might be a guy where Jason Light would say, you know what, I would trade straight up for that.
Yeah.
Because you've got Edwards and you got Whitehead, who's come on really strong. The guy from Green Bay we got, the hell's his name?
Evan Smith.
No, Bryce, Kendall Bryce,
Kentrell
Bryce,
yeah.
And Kendall Bryce, and then I'm telling you, man, that Dakota Dixon kid from Wisconsin who got hurt, he's making the team next year. He just is.
Yeah.
So I mean, Justin Evans is kind of right now. It doesn't really look like as big as luxury as Brate, but he could be. He could be.
All right. Hey, Eric.
Yeah, and the secondary has looked really good without him. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, yeah. Well, anyway, I'll let you guys get to the next caller. Thanks for all the podcasts, and yeah. Thanks for being awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, man. Hopefully we'll hear back from you later on this season. Okay.
For sure.
All right, buddy. And I'll be seeing you out there in the fantasy realms.
Good luck in fantasy.
Awesome.
Kick Brent's booty.
Thanks. Have a great night, guys.
Bye, Eric. Hey, if that was you calling in a few minutes ago, please call in. We do only have one phone line, so when somebody's on, I can't answer and put you on hold, and we don't have a producer who handles all that. But Ren, I did want to bring this up. We were just talking about Justin Evans. I saw a tweet just as we went live from Rick Stroud. I don't know if you've seen it yet, saying
I think I heard it on the broadcast.
Oh,
go ahead.
Well, Justin Evans was apparently supposed to play tonight. He got held out, and they've since said that it was because his Achilles was sore.
Yeah, and I guess what they told Rondé and Chris Myers that the start of the season is now sort of in question.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about that. Okay, assuming Justin Evans is out. No, we've been playing without Justin Evans this whole preseason.
Yeah.
All right. Justin Evans is a fine player. That's great. But between all the guys that we have back there right now, if Justin Evans doesn't come back, are we
Ever
good?
or week one?
Ever. Like, if let's just say Justin Evans is out. He's injured. He's just one of those guys. Maybe he comes back for a game and then gets re-injured, and we're just, ultimately we're without him.
Right.
Are we good? Right? Are we good in safety, or does that create a big vacuum?
I would like to say so. I mean, we haven't seen enough of Mike Edwards. Like, he shut off like a rocket. When he got there, coaches couldn't quit talking about him, and then he got hurt. Like, I think right before Miami came to town, and he hadn't stepped on the field since.
Right.
So it's sort of hard. We haven't seen him against any sort of competition. Like, I don't even know if he played the Pittsburgh game, to be honest. Jordan Whitehead looks like a brand new player in this defense, like as a lot of people do.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
He looks like you're like, oh, that's why you drafted him. Okay, thanks, Jason Light. And Kentrell Bryce has played very well. He's one of these guys that was those smaller free agent signings. You're kind of like, oh, I've heard of him. Yeah, he's at Green Bay. Okay, but again, playing with the Bucs and in the system, he's done well, and he's the guy who's been holding down the other starting spot pretty much all preseason long. So, are we okay? I guess, but I still want Justin Evans back because I think he's better than both of those guys.
Right.
I just do. Especially in Todd Bowles' defense, where I've said it before, they play a crap of single high safety, and there's nobody on our team who's better at covering ground, going sideline to sideline than Justin Evans. There's just not. And I think he's just a guy that could really shine. And it's something that sort of surprised me the first time I heard it, and maybe you too, was when we had Carmen Vitale on one time. She talked about how smart he is. What a smart football high IQ he has. And I wasn't surprised because he was a dummy. It was just something that I never noticed or picked up on or heard anybody say. But once Carmen said it, I've heard multiple people say it. And I've heard Bruce Arians say it. So, we're definitely stronger without Justin Evans. I was just sort of bringing that up because, if we're looking for a starting offensive lineman, it was just another name to throw in the ring that other teams might want or need.
All right. Well, that's so that's that. I mean, I thought the cornerback play was fairly unremarkable tonight. I don't know about you, like nothing really stood out. As far as the linebackers, though, Jack Sitchy was playing like he had a spot to earn. He was playing for his job tonight.
I mean, I a little selfishly when Quan went down in the Cleveland game last year, I was kind of like, okay, like we get to see what Jack Sitchy can do.
Right.
Because something we've talked about for a couple of years is that Quan stinks in coverage. He just does. He's a liability, and he guesses on run gaps too many times. He's not disciplined enough in his run gap fit. So I'm like, okay, we get to watch Sitchy. And then boom, Sitchy, like 3 plays later, maybe 5 minutes total in the real time, real time, that he blows his ACL. And it's like, oh, okay. That's not fun.
Right.
So it's been nice to see. This is basically the most action we've got to see him because he was sort of splitting time with Kevin Minter and White, and because White was in there sometimes when the first team defense was off. Like they still had
Right.
Devin White out there
Right.
every once in a while, and then they had Minter out there. The Buchanan was out there, so Jack Sitchy really wasn't getting in until like the fours were on.
Mhm.
So he got to start, played just about the whole game. I know he played the first half, and yeah, he did what it was one of those things again. You're like, okay, now I see
Mhm.
why he's on the team. Now
Right.
I see why this guy was drafted. I think I heard David Harrison from Lockdown Bucks said he missed his last 20 games at Wisconsin. So he
Wow.
didn't play for like
That's 2
almost
years.
two full seasons,
Yeah.
and he got drafted.
Right. Right.
So it was good to see. I wasn't surprised by it, but
Mhm.
I want to go back to the corners real quick.
Okay.
Sean Murphy Bunting is having a hard time playing nickel.
He is.
He can't play that slot.
Yeah.
He's an outside guy. These sort of shallow, long crosses that wide receivers are getting separation on them once they
Mhm.
get past the hash marks and into the middle of the field and extend to the sidelines. Uh, but the good news is that's exactly what MJ Stewart looked like last year. And
Mhm.
he's been really really good at the nickel in the limited playing time he's had. So it's just
Has
I
he?
just want to throw that for
Ha
Buck fans.
Now I wanna ask that about MJ Stewart. Has
Sure.
he really looked, like,
Yeah,
good this year?
he's look
Because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, okay,
The last
good.
game when we played Cleveland, they came
Yeah,
after him.
yeah,
They did. Like they came after Stewart. It was like
yeah.
it almost every time Baker threw the ball, they were throwing at Stewart's guy, and he showed up time after time.
Alright. Alright, I'll take it. I will take it. I certainly don't wanna see that guy go to waste, for sure. So,
Oh, he's
um
not going to waste. I'm just saying. I'm just trying to throw that out there because they didn't look good, and I just wanted to tell people that
right,
I understand that SMB didn't look good, but hey, here's sort of a silver lining
sure. No,
to that.
but I mean, talking about MJ Stewart because, the big thing was MJ Stewart came out last year, he had a good OTA. I think he might have had an okay, decent camp, possibly, and then we got into the season and it was like, "Oh, he can't run." Like,
He
he's
can't
not
cover anybody,
fast, he's
and that's
not
exactly
athletic.
and that's exactly what's happened to SMB.
Right.
Every time you look up, a guy's like on a 7 yard and he's just running across the whole entire field, and
Mhm,
he's like 2 steps behind,
mhm.
just like Stewart was last year.
Right, right. So, yeah. But, hey, listen, if MJ Stewart's coming along this year, then, hey, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right, let's bring it up. There's one more spot we haven't really talked about from tonight's game. Our defensive line. Um,
Sure.
Pat O'Connor, we mentioned him earlier. He's been having a pretty good preseason. I've liked what I've seen out of him. He stuck around last year. I think he was on practice squad. I don't know if
Mhm.
he'll get off practice squad this year.
Right.
Um, I just with the sheer numbers, but he is definitely a guy I'd like to see stick around in some capacity. The biggest question that I had out of tonight's crew on the defensive line was Noah Spence.
Right.
Certainly, as we remember this time last year, Noah Spence played the entire game and did
Mhm.
nothing, did absolutely nothing. He played every snap last week, and I don't want to say he did nothing, but um, I don't. You got to
Didn't
see
have
the
any
game more
sacks
than I
against
did.
third and fourth stringers.
Yeah. I don't know how much he played tonight. I do remember seeing him out there, and I feel like I saw
Right.
him out there a lot of the game.
Right.
Um, and I don't know if anyone in the chat room can help me out, or Ren, if you happen to know or see, like, what's going on with Noah Spence. Like, is he? It feels like we're trying to get him. We want him to work out. It. I don't know if he's made it over that hump yet.
You're kind of hearing some rumblings that this guy might not be safe. And I think those are a little premature. I think it's fans being disappointed
Hmm.
because there was again a lot of hype about Spence in training camp, but he was
Sure.
showing it in training camp. And you know what? Tonight he did look good. Did he get any sacks? No, but he was consistently beating his guy and getting to the quarterback
Hmm.
with the speed on the outside. If Noah Spence becomes a situational pass rusher,
Hmm.
and can't hold up against the run and gets you 7 to 10, 11 sacks a year, I'm not going to be mad. If it's
If Noah
six,
Spence
7,
gets you 7 to 10 sacks a year, you're not going to be mad.
that's what I'm not going to. I'm saying if that's what he turns into.
Oh, okay. I see. I
What
see
they're
what you're saying.
trying to do is figure out if he can stand up against the run, all
Hmm.
game, like you
Right.
know, you know, series after series after series, Or is he just a guy that's gonna have to come in and like second and long, first and long, third and long,
Mm-hmm.
third more than six, and or he's a guy that can be in there on first and 10, or second and 5, or third and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're trying to find out. I don't know. I don't think he's in danger of getting cut. Uh, Again, I would have liked to see him more out of him the Cleveland game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought tonight he was fine. Shaq Barrett looked better.
Right.
But it's one of those things. Well, who's going up against whom?
Right.
Because I saw Barrett like beat his guy and get a sack, and then the next play Spence was on the same guy and
Mm-hmm.
just toasted him as well. So maybe
Fair.
Barrett's guy, like Barrett's tackle, was infinitely worse than the guy that Spence was going up against more. Who
Mm-hmm.
knows? The point is that I think he's going to have a better year,
Mm-hmm.
but he might end up being just a guy that's situational pass rusher. And if he can contribute in that role, like sort of like a Carl Nassib did last year, or break out and be one of these top tier just situational pass rushers, then I'll be okay with that.
All right. Anyone else on the defensive line that stood out to you tonight, possibly to make the roster or maybe even crack the practice squad?
I was trying to watch our seventh round draft pick, our last guy,
Beckner Jr.
Beckner
Yeah.
Jr. But I didn't. It's kind of hard because he's playing nose guard basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they all jumble up in the middle, and then you kind of can't see him anymore, and then the camera pans away because the
And it
quarterback's
cuts.
dropping back.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so it
And
was
then it
really
cuts to a
hard to
Cowboy
follow him.
and
Yeah, and then every time it seemed a play was made,
mm-hmm.
it was either Shaq Barrett or Patrick O'Connor.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really know what they're asking him to do, and so, but I think that last spot on the defensive line, because I think they're gonna have to carry one more because of Vive and his injury. They're gonna have to carry an extra guy. It's gonna come down to Beckner Jr. or O'Connor, and
Mm.
I'm not really sure which one I'm gonna pick, to be honest. I don't.
Right.
I think O'Connor's earned it, but I don't know if like will Beckner do the Bucs like Beckner enough they don't want to chance him through waivers.
Sure. Yeah. That's mm. I think you have to ask the question, who has the better chance of actually playing, right? Because let's say you want to say, okay, O'Connor's got the better chance of playing, but he's going to
Neither of
make
them
it
are
through
going to play.
waivers. Do what?
Neither are going to play. They're not going to make the active roster. Neither
Yeah.
of them are. I mean, they
Yeah.
will until Vea comes back. Then after that, they're not, and they
Right.
might not even make it before he's back. They just need him in case someone else goes down. They need
Right.
somebody there,
Well, that's okay. So let's say if somebody else goes down, and
right?
you have to pick one of the two of them to go into play. Who's the one that you want?
Who we
Personally,
playing?
I give the edge over to O'Connor right now.
Who we playing?
That's a good question because they are not the same guy.
They are not the same
Yeah.
guy.
Right.
One's power guy that's bull rusher, and
Mm-hmm.
one's real motor slippery guy who he has some power too, but he's not as strong as Buckner.
Right. But my point with all that being of
Beckner.
if you have somebody on the active roster to protect them, but the guy you really want is the guy who's on your practice squad, you're eventually going to have to let that guy go anyway. Like in order to bring the one guy up, you'd have to. Well, I guess you don't have to let that guy go. You could let any of them go. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Forget
whichever
everything
one
I was
will,
just saying.
yeah, just say Beckner, I decide to keep him, and hopefully Patrick O'Connor makes practice squad, and he does. Somebody gets hurt, you just bring Patrick O'Connor up.
Yeah.
And he takes the spot of the guy that gets hurt.
Yeah, easy enough. Easy enough. All right, Ren. Well, that is going to, I think, kind of round out our show. And
who's the second caller?
Yeah, who is the second caller? You have like just a couple of minutes to interrupt me as we start to round this out. Ren, I'm going to start a new segment on this show, and I'm going to do it live. I've not talked to you about it yet.
Sweet, my favorite.
Yes. I'm going to call this our Facebook take of the day because I know how you scour Facebook. And I took a screenshot of this. I've not posted this out there, but this was just...
You know what? I might have seen this.
This was so great.
Because I was watching the Bucs game with people that watch Facebook during the game instead of Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And they showed me a couple things, and I'm just, after the third one, I'm like, quit showing me this. and quit freaking scrolling Facebook during the game.
Right.
I just think it's funny. Well, it's not. It's infuriating.
Well, let's see how this one goes with you. This one says, "All right, just hear me out. Jason Light and Arians were in Arizona together.
Mhm.
Arians retired for 1 year and then came out of retirement to Tampa because of Jason Light. He
Right?
had to be retired from football for a year in order for him to do so." I would question that, but that's what he says. He says, "Arians also coached, get ready for it, Andrew Luck during his rookie season when Chuck Pagano
Oh
got
God.
sick.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
if,
Okay.
just what if Luck is retiring for this year just so he can come to Tampa next year when they decide to pass on Jameis Winston?"
Well,
This is
there's
not meant for actual discussion, right?
I've heard about this. Like I've heard people talk about this, like on sports talk radio and stuff.
No, really?
Here's the
This is a
rub.
thing that's out there?
Well, I mean, yeah,
Wow.
just as Facebook crap.
Wow. Okay, go
Because
ahead.
once again, they don't think it through. Because guess what? You know,
Mhm.
it wasn't Bruce Arians retired. We had to give Arizona something because he was still under contract.
Right.
We
Was
had
it
to
a
give him a
6th
draft
round?
pick.
I think it was a 6th round pick or something, right? It was a real
Doesn't
late one.
matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Guess how many years Andrew Luck's still under contract?
Uh, I would imagine. Yeah, I was gonna say 2 or 3. Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
What are you gonna have to give up to get the Colts to not? And the Colts aren't gonna like. No, you want to come back? Come
Come
play
back to
for
us.
us.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yes. Yay, Facebook.
Well, that's gonna be our our Facebook hot segment of the week
Yeah.
Is what that is. All right, Ren.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait, no, wait.
yeah, yeah.
This is something that I thought this would have got more steam, but freaking Mazzy Wilkins missed a tackle.
Okay.
Uh, the defense was this close from not giving up a touchdown against 2 playoff / Super Bowl teams. I mean, even though Dallas was just their 2s, 3s, and 4s, our
Mhm.
defense dominated them, and that's what you want
Yeah.
to see out of that. You want your 2s to be better than their 2s.
Mhm.
Your 3's better than their 3's. And you know what it was? It was communication. Brent, how many times have you seen this year? How many times have you seen this year? Remember Vernon Hargraves? Every time he'd look, he'd have his palms up in the air, looking towards in the inside of the defense,
Yeah, yeah.
because Dirk Cutter said that means I don't know what the call is. Help me.
Right.
There's none of this scrambling around. They're late. The defense
Uh-huh.
is sitting there waiting on the offense to come out of the huddle.
Right.
They all know what to do.
I
And they're
will
all playing fast. They're all playing aggressive. I mean, seriously, like I know it doesn't really mean much for the Cowboys, but our
Uh-huh.
2s did dominate their 2s on defense and 3s and 4s.
Right.
But against Cleveland, they didn't have their best 3. Well, I guess they didn't have their 4 guys out there.
Mhm.
But Baker Mayfield had a terrible day.
Yeah.
And those DBs were everywhere, and they only gave up 3 field goals on very short fields to a very good football team.
Yeah.
And then they went to Dallas and just like choked them out, man.
And it's funny you say that because the Cowboys broadcast guys were talking right at the end of the game about how they were pumping up Dallas. Pumping up Dallas,
No
pumping up
way.
Dallas. Yeah, I mean, go figure. And what they were saying basically was the thing about Dallas that they have now is they've always had a good team. They've just never had any depth. But now they finally have depth. The 2s and the 3s are as good as the 1s. They have all these layers that are just as
Really?
good as the top layer. And I was just kind of I mean, I didn't think too much about it, but you're sitting here saying, "Hey, look how well our defense did." And let's be honest, our offense, outside of those couple of interceptions, the offense didn't do too bad, and we still scored on them a couple of times.
Griffin was moving them down the field.
Yeah.
It just, the first one, I think it was like their second play from scrimmage, tipped interception, pick 6.
Yeah.
And then he moved him down the field and scored,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And then he was moving him down the field, and he was in the red zone, I believe, or real close to it. He was across the 50.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do that Scotty Miller thing. Like Dallas was not, the Bucs were shooting themselves.
Right.
And then a guy
That sounds like a Jameis Winston drive, or Jameis Winston half, by the way.
Yeah, and then a guy that has only been in camp for like 4 days,
Uh-huh.
drives down the field and takes the lead.
Yeah.
Why? Because the other team can't score.
Right.
Because we have a defense.
Right. Okay, so here's where we come down to, Ren, and we may dive into this more on a future show before the season actually gets going. Okay, but let's talk about the
Sure.
Buccaneers as a whole and what we're thinking about towards the Buccaneers. And where my mind goes to is this. Listen, we've said for a couple of years now, particularly this last year, the problem with the Buccaneers has not been the offense. We have
Yeah.
had a top offense for the last couple of years, especially last year. And that's including Jameis Winston's suspension and the Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Jameis Winston and all this weird stuff. We still had a prolific offense.
Yep.
Right? The problem has always been the defense.
Yeah.
Okay. It appears now we've got a pretty kick-ass defense. We've got a defense that at least looks like it's going to be pretty competent and able to do some stuff. Right?
Yes.
Do we think that the offense is going to... The offense, by the way, hasn't been touched a whole lot. Right? Like the core of the offense is still there. Like
because we got good players.
Right. I mean, like Deshaun Jackson's traded out for Perryman.
Yep.
And let's see, the running back stable's the same. The
tight ends are the same.
Tight ends are the same. The offensive line is pretty much the same, to be honest with you. And we can bitch, moan, and complain all we want about the offensive line. We still had a top prolific offense with a really bad offensive line.
Yep, couldn't run the ball.
But we still, it just is this off. Are we expecting this offense to still be the same? And we get this offense paired with this defense. Are we going 5-11?
No.
I mean, yeah. Like this is enough at this point to get me excited.
Yeah.
I'm still guarding myself. I'm guarding my heart.
You guard it
because I know how it is to be a Buccaneers fan. But
and
it does get me excited.
There are going to be games where you're like, what happened to this defense? I thought we were supposed to be good on defense. And there are going to be games about, oh my God, this offensive line, we're never going to win another game. And there might even be a game where we're like, I can't believe Jameis Winston had a worse game than he did in Cincinnati last year. What a complete meltdown. All those things, two of those things are going to happen for sure. The offensive line and the defense are going to give up some points in some game.
Okay.
And everyone's going to freak out.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the coaching staff that will fix it.
Yeah.
And they're not going to go to the podium and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I
knew what the problem was, I'd fix it. Right?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah.
It was communication error, right? It was communication.
So, I mean, yeah. So I just, even if Jameis goes down and we have to play Griffin, I still think we win more than 5 games.
Yeah. I
really do.
Yeah. I think it's hard to not win that many, to be honest with you. So, man, I'm excited.
It is hard.
Yeah.
But we're good at it.
It's true. We have a lot of years of experience at it, for sure.
Of not winning that many.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Ren. Well, that's going to close us out for the preseason InstantCast shows. The next time we do this, Ren, it'll be for real. It'll be the season is on, and it will probably not be for the 49ers game.
What?
Well, because it's a night game, right? And studios and all that kind of stuff.
It's a night game? No, it's not.
Yeah, well, it's a 4:00 game.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could get home and be like a midnight show. I guess we could do that.
Oh, you're not doing the stay the night thing?
We'll see. I got to figure out what this week looks like and what all that does. So,
right.
Yeah, because we had talked about possibly bringing the studio with me wherever we go so we can broadcast. And I don't know that that's going to work. We'll just give it a shot. We'll see. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But stay tuned to our Twitter feed. We will be on this as often as we can, folks. And even still, Ren, you and I will at least get together and put together a show.
There'll be something for you there.
Yeah.
Monday morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just might not be able to join us on YouTube or call in.
Right.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. In fact, I mean, we looked at the schedule. I think we said there's only like 3 games this whole year, which are kind of in jeopardy. The rest of them should be just fine. So, it's not going to be too bad. So, with that, Ren, as we look towards the season now, why don't you tell the folks where they can find you on the internet?
Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football, but if you're shy or you have a real hot take that you want to throw out there in the Twitterverse, you're more than welcome to slide in my DMs and we'll talk Buccaneers football there as well too.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And if you want to get in touch with the show, find us on Twitter at the Pewtercast or on Facebook at facebook.com/thepewtercast, or send us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. We will read those on an upcoming episode of the Pewtercast. And
I feel like we've been saying that for like 6 months.
yeah, people haven't been sending us emails over the summer. So, but we've got a couple that banked in from last week. We'll do that show coming up, and we'll definitely make sure we have those.
Yeah, man. 4 shows a week.
That's the plan.
Starts this week.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. This week or next.
Yeah. Oh, this one.
Yeah, because we'll have a Buck in the News show. Well, we'll get all that. So, hey, listen, guys, thanks for joining us. Preseason is over. Bucs go 3-1 on the preseason. Hopefully that bodes well and isn't the curse heading into the season. But whatever it is, guys, we're in for the ride.
Why would you even say that?
Do what?
Well,
because that's how usually a lot of times you see they did really well in the preseason and then like their regular season falls apart, or the teams that like do really well in the season have like a real crappy preseason. Like it seems that's the way it works. But anyway, the Bucs finished the preseason 3-1, so I like that. Yay for the good guys. But next time starts the real season. This one doesn't matter. That one does. And we'll see you guys then. And until then, we'll close the show out as always. Go Bucs. We said that there wouldn't be stuff to talk about.